In April 2026, a research team published findings that should have made mainstream news far more than they did. Dreams, they confirmed, are not random. They are not the brain producing meaningless static during rest. They are structured, shaped by who you are as a person, by your traits, and specifically by the experiences and emotions your waking mind is actively processing or actively avoiding. This is not new to every tradition. Ancient Egypt built entire temple complexes specifically for dream reception, spaces where people would sleep deliberately with the intention of receiving information their waking minds couldn't access. For 3,000 years, one civilization treated dreaming as a precise science. In 2026, neuroscience is finally catching up to what they encoded. Today, we decode both. Chapter 1. Dreams are structured. The 2026 research built on decades of dream science to reach a conclusion that reshapes how we should understand the sleeping mind. Dreams are not chaos. They are not the brain randomly firing neurons in the absence of external stimulation. They are the brain doing something specific, something that requires the quieting of conscious, rational filtering to happen properly. What the research found: your personal traits, your emotional patterns, your unresolved conflicts, your dominant concerns directly shape the content and structure of your dreams, not randomly, predictably, consistently. This matters because it means your dreams are a direct readout of your subconscious processing, not a scrambled signal, but a structured message from the part of you that operates below conscious awareness. The analogy neuroscientists use: if your waking mind is like a CEO making decisions in a boardroom, your dreaming mind is like the entire organization running without the CEO present. Every department has access, every suppressed concern gets airtime, every deferred decision gets examined. The structure is there. You simply haven't been reading it. Chapter 2. What happens in REM? The specific sleep phase where most dreaming occurs is called REM, rapid eye movement sleep. During REM, something neurologically unusual happens. The emotional processing centers of the brain, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the limbic system, become highly active. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the rational, analytical filtering part of the brain, responsible for logic, self-censorship, and conscious decision-making, significantly quiets. This is not a malfunction. It appears to be the design. With the rational filter offline, the emotional processing system can work on material it cannot access during waking hours, when the prefrontal cortex is constantly evaluating, suppressing, and redirecting emotional content. The feelings you suppressed during the day, the decision you're avoiding, the conversation you won't have, the truth you won't look at, all of it gets processing time during REM without interference. Joe Dispenza's research on the relationship between emotion and subconscious reprogramming is relevant here. The subconscious processes emotional content most effectively when the conscious analytical mind is not overriding it. REM sleep may be the most consistent natural access point to the state that humans experience every night, whether they use it deliberately or not. Chapter 3. Ancient Egypt and Dream Temples. The ancient Egypt did not need fMRI machines to understand this. They built what historians call dream temples, or in Greek, incubation temples, specifically designed for the practice of deliberate dreaming. The most famous were dedicated to Serapis and Imhotep, who was both a real historical figure and a deified healer. The practice, a person seeking guidance, healing, or answers, would undergo a period of ritual preparation, fasting, prayer, specific ablutions, and then sleep within the temple, specifically with the intention of receiving a dream that contained the information they needed. Priests trained in dream interpretation would be present to help decode what arrived. This was not folk superstition. This was a sophisticated system built around a precise understanding of the dreaming mind as a distinct mode of consciousness, one that accessed information unavailable to the waking state. When you look at what the 2026 research confirmed, that dreams are structured readouts of subconscious processing, shaped by unresolved emotions and avoided truths, the Egyptian system doesn't look like mysticism. It looks like empirical practice. 3,000 years of observation before any of the neuroscience vocabulary existed to describe the mechanism.
Chapter 4. What your dreams are showing you. Given what we now know about dream structure, a different kind of question becomes possible. Not what does this dream symbol mean in the abstract, archetypal sense, though Carl Jung's work on the collective unconscious and dream archetypes remains relevant here. But a more practical question: what is this dream pointing at that I haven't been willing to look at while awake? Research consistently shows that emotionally significant content, particularly unresolved conflict and suppressed feeling, appears in dreams with greater frequency and intensity than neutral content. Your dreaming mind is, in effect, running a priority queue. The things you most need to process, regardless of whether your waking mind wants to engage with them, get the most airtime. This means the recurring dream you've had for years is not random repetition. It is your subconscious returning, repeatedly, to something that has not yet been resolved or integrated. The dream does not stop recurring because the underlying material has not been fully processed. The question the Egyptian priests trained people to ask upon waking was essentially, what unresolved thing was given form in this dream? Not what does it symbolize in general, but what specific unresolved thing in my specific life is this pointing at? That distinction changes how you engage with every dream you'll have for the rest of your life. Chapter 5: Recurring Dreams and the Mystery. Here is where genuine mystery remains. Recurring dreams, the same dream or dream theme repeating over months or years, are documented across cultures and throughout history. The content varies, but the phenomenology is consistent. The same scenario, the same emotional tone, the same unresolved conclusion. Neurologically, the current best explanation is that recurring dreams represent unprocessed emotional material that the brain keeps returning to, similar to how an operating system might repeatedly attempt to process a corrupted file. But this explanation doesn't fully account for certain consistent features of recurring dreams: their emotional precision, their narrative coherence, and the specific timing of when they stop, which is almost always when some corresponding waking life resolution occurs, even if the resolution has no obvious logical connection to the dream content. Why a specific dream would cease when a specific life situation resolves, even when the two seem unrelated, is not fully understood. The relationship between waking resolution and dream cessation is consistent enough to be clinically documented, but precise enough in its correspondence that a simple explanation hasn't emerged. This is one of the places where the complete mechanism lives in the gap between what we can measure and what we can explain. Chapter 6: The Practice. 3 specific practices, grounded in what we've decoded today. Practice 1: The pre-sleep question. Before sleep tonight, ask one question out loud or in writing, not a general request for guidance, a specific question about a specific unresolved thing. What am I not seeing about X? Or, what is this situation actually asking of me? The research on directed dreaming suggests that specific intention before sleep increases the probability of relevant dream content. This is what the Egyptian incubation practice was built around: not magic, focused attention directing the subconscious processing system toward specific material. Practice 2: Immediate recording. Keep something to write on beside your bed. The first 3 minutes after waking are when dream content is most accessible. It fades rapidly. Write without analyzing. Capture first, interpret later. Even fragments, even feelings without imagery, even a single word that feels significant. Practice 3: The one-question interpretation. When you review what you recorded, ask only one question: what unresolved thing in my current life does this most clearly point at? Not symbolic interpretation, not what does water mean in dreams, what specific thing in your specific life is this most directly reflecting? This is how the Egyptian priests interpreted, not archetypes, specifics. A research paper from April 2026 and a 3,000-year-old practice built on temple walls, in a language we spent centuries learning to decode, both describing the same thing from different directions. Your dreams are not random noise from a resting brain. They are the most honest readout of your subconscious processing that you receive, every night, whether you engage with it or not. The mystery that remains: why does the subconscious use the specific imagery, narrative, and emotional tone it chooses? Why does a particular symbol appear for one person and not another? Why does the correspondence between waking resolution and dream cessation hold even when the logical connection seems absent? We can measure the structure. We cannot yet fully map the language. Drop the number in the comments. 1 for I pay attention to my dreams. 2 for I've always had a recurring dream. 3 for I've never thought about this before. Subscribe for more decoded consciousness content every week. You are the architect at your own frequency.